without further ado, let me have the honor to invite Honorable Sagala Rathnayake, Minister of Law and Order and Southern Development, to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
The Honourable Member of Parliament, Ashumara Singha, Secretary Defence, the Attorney General, the commanders of the three forces, the Army, Navy and the Air Force, the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor, the academic staff, the non-academic staff of KDU, Your Excellencies, secretaries and other government officials, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, friends. It's indeed an honor and privilege to be invited to make the keynote address at this 9th International Research Conference organized by the General Sir John Kothalavala Defence University on the theme Professional Integration for a Secure Nation. And I thank the Vice Chancellor and the conference organizers for inviting me to initiate the deliberations of this important conference. It is refreshing to see the little video clip of KDU. Sri Lanka is a country that is striving to make advancement in its school education system and higher education system. And it really made me happy to see that there are organizations, academic organizations in Sri Lanka that have moved in the direction that the government wishes to take the rest of the student population in this country. At the outset, I must convey my congratulations to KDU for the achievements it has made in the recent past, and I thank the authorities and the staff of KDU for their contribution to elevate the level of our armed forces by gradually enhancing the intellectual capacity of our officers over the last 35 years or so. It is on an estate that belonged to a former Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. As a schoolboy, I visited this establishment. It was not a defense university then. It was just it was a donation that the Prime Minister made to the people of the country, and it was one of the few places that school children were brought on their field trips in the days when we were in school. There weren't so many places to go. We had the museum and we had the Kothalavala estate, as it was called. It was common. It was known as the Kandavala estate more than the Kothalavala estate. There were elephants here. There was a lot of wildlife that we could, or tamed animals, wildlife that was brought here and available for us to see. And it has now been reformed, or it has been developed into an amazing academic institution. Indeed, as a tertiary educational institution in Sri Lanka that gives a very high priority for high quality research and is systematically expanding to accommodate additional disciplines, KDU affirms and enhances the true purpose and meaning of an academy. In short, it sets an example to the entire tertiary education system in the country. The commitment to research is amply demonstrated by the fact that KDU has already hosted 8 international research conferences, and this is the 9th. Although primarily founded to train undergraduates in fields related to the broad subject of defense, the KDU has evolved in a manner that clearly indicates an acknowledgement of the complexities related to issues of security in a fast-changing environment of technological advancement, along with the emergence of forces that not only has access to these, but have no qualms about abusing the knowledge to produce horrific outcomes. Moreover, KDU has explicitly acknowledged that security in its broad sense is not limited to threats of a military kind. It is apt then that the theme of this conference recognizes the need for integrated approaches in issues pertaining to national security. Ladies and gentlemen, national security is a concern of very high priority of every country, and it has become vitally important in the modern context of complex geopolitical, economic, and social realities in the world. We live, after all, in a world where threats are both internal and external. The enemy, so to speak, operates with scant disregard for national boundaries. We live in an era of transnational terrorism where the enemy operates on multiple fronts using multiple pathways. Infiltration is no longer about the enemy breaking through defense lines or territorial boundaries surreptitiously. It is also about breaking into repositories of sensitive information. It is about codes within codes, the manipulation of minds through multiple mechanisms, and the sophisticated use of misinformation. The preying on vulnerabilities is far more complex than it used to be even a mere decade ago. All the more reason to empower readiness with integrated approaches. Needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, in this effort, serious, uncompromising, and dedicated research is a non-negotiable prerequisite. We have learned through the harsh experience of 2 bloody insurrections and a 3-decade-long war that national security is not a matter that can be handled by the security forces of a country alone. Whether we like it or not, it is a matter where every citizen has to play a role, however small it may be. Every citizen has a role to play, however small it may be. An alert, informed, educated, and disciplined citizenry is an invaluable auxiliary force to the formal institutions dedicated to national security. You would no doubt discuss during these sessions the important roles played by non-military sections of the population in securing our nation from the threat of terrorism. True professionalism in whatever field contributes immensely. Knowledge produced through research in whatever field of study is useful one way or another. The integration of professionalism then produces a bulwark that can make a huge difference in strengthening the theater of security in a country. The conference will no doubt provide opportunity for stimulating discussion on such issues and for sharing of knowledge that help the participants in their search for answers to complex problems. Ladies and gentlemen, when I refer to Sri Lanka's experiences on the subject of national security, I spoke in the past tense. We have lived through harsh times where death, dismemberment, destruction, and displacement were part of the everyday stories of individual as well as collective tragedy. Today, in our present, we have recognized the importance of addressing anomalies which can be exploited to the point of creating conditions for conflict that lends a hand to extremism. If our approach to ending a long-drawn conflict draw from multiple disciples and their effective integration, then the post-conflict struggle for reconciliation and sustainable peace must build on those strengths. We have recognized this, and our government is sparing no pains to mobilize the very same resources for this purpose. Indeed, our policies are based on the overarching theme of integration and unification. That is the integration of all irrespective of ethnic, religious caste, class, or any differences as we strive to achieve and strengthen peace, harmony, and coexistence, which is a sign of a secure nation, a nation of strength that can withstand any external or internal threats to its national security. It is in this context that I believe that the deliberations on the subject of integrity ought to consider the interrelated nature of democracy and development with the more traditional, that is to say, military aspects of national security. I'm sure that this distinguished audience is well aware of the fact that there are threats of many kinds: poverty, unequal distribution of resources, division along petty political lines, social fragmentation, inadequate employment, corruption and malpractices, the proliferation of drugs among youth, inadequate health care, and cybercrime are common to most, if not all, countries. They all constitute threats to security of one kind or another. In such a context, ladies and gentlemen, we must realize that neither the government nor the security forces can single-handedly confront the multiplicity of threats. They need the support of all professionals to work together to ensure a secure nation